The moment I stepped into the courtroom that morning, my daughter Clara let out a sharp sigh. She rolled her eyes, almost dramatically, and leaned toward her husband, Derek. She whispered something under her breath, low enough that only he could hear. But the smirk that spread across his lips, followed by her quiet chuckle, told me all I needed to know. They thought they had already won. The shuffle of papers, the clicking of shoes against the courtroom floor, the hushed voices of lawyers filling the air, all of it stopped the moment the judge raised his head. He had been buried in a thick stack of files, glasses perched low on his nose. But when his eyes locked onto mine, something changed. For a brief second, his expression froze, as if the past itself had walked into the room and stood before him. His lips parted, his voice hushed, barely audible even in the silence that followed. "It's her." The words rippled across the room like a stone thrown into still water. Lawyers who had been speaking faltered. Their voices cut short mid-sentence. Clerks froze, fingers hovering above their keyboards. Even the bailiff, stoic and rigid, shifted uncomfortably in his stance. The air thickened, heavy, tense. Clara's smug expression wavered. Derek's brow furrowed in confusion. They had no idea what those two words meant, but I did. I had lived long enough to recognize when the tide of fate was about to shift. They thought I was just an old woman clinging to a house too large for her. They believed they had stripped me of every ounce of dignity, but what they never realized was this. I carried a story much older, much stronger, and far more enduring than their greed could ever touch. Every morning in Riverton began the same way. The clock struck 6, and I would rise slowly from bed, joints stiff but determined, feet padding across the worn wooden floorboards. In the kitchen, I filled my dented kettle with water, the same kettle I had used for more than 20 years, and set it on the stove. As the flame flickered beneath it, I reached for my chipped ceramic mug. Its edges were cracked, its glaze faded, but it had survived countless mornings. The rich smell of coffee soon filled the air, wrapping itself around me like a warm embrace. On the windowsill, rows of African violets waited for me. Their blossoms were delicate, purple and pink, catching the soft light of dawn. Robert, my late husband, had loved those flowers. He used to say they reminded him of resilience, fragile in appearance, yet stronger than anyone imagined. Tending to them kept him close, even after he was gone. My life was never extraordinary. It was built from small habits stitched together with memory and sacrifice. I had never traveled far, never lived in luxury, but I had poured everything I had into raising Clara. I scrubbed office floors long into the night, my hands raw and aching. On weekends, I baked pies for church events, smiling even when exhaustion pulled at me. I mended dresses for neighbors, not just for money, but because every extra dollar meant another chance for Clara. A book she needed, a school trip she wanted, opportunities I had never known. To the outside world, I was invisible, just an aging widow in a modest house. But within me, I carried decades of sacrifice, carved into my very skin like lines in stone. That Thursday evening, I had wanted to remind Clara of home. I stood in the kitchen for hours preparing Robert's favorite dish, chicken and dumplings. The kind that simmered until the broth grew thick and comforting. The scent filled the house, seeping into the walls, carrying with it memories of family dinners and laughter. I spread my embroidered tablecloth across the dining table, the one I had stitched by hand when Clara was a teenager, each flower threaded with care. I placed fresh flowers in the center, a small touch of beauty. When they arrived, Derek walked in as though he already owned the place. He dropped into Robert's armchair, switched on the television, and leaned back with an entitled ease that made my stomach twist. Clara stood in the doorway, wearing the green dress I had once bought her. But her expression was cold, her eyes distant, her tone clipped. "Mom, we need to talk." She explained that the house was too large for me, that I couldn't maintain it, that they needed it for their growing family. She said it as though it were kindness, as though uprooting me from my own life was a generous gift. They had even chosen a retirement community they claimed would be perfect for someone my age. My voice trembled as I pleaded. I reminded her that this was the home where her father had taken his last breath, his hand holding mine. That every wall carried our story. But Clara's voice was sharp, final. Memories are in the heart, Mom, not on the walls. Her words cut through me like broken glass. Days later, Derek returned, unannounced. A man in a gray suit followed him inside, clipboard in hand. "The Appraiser," Derek said flatly. The man moved through my house with cold detachment, measuring walls, scribbling notes, speaking in a voice that stripped away all feeling. "The plumbing is outdated. The kitchen tiles are old-fashioned. This property would need a full renovation." I stood in the corner, clutching my apron. Those tiles he dismissed so casually. Robert had laid them himself when Clara was 10. Sweat on his brow, determination in his eyes, the gentle way he had told me, "This kitchen will last us a lifetime." Now, his love, his work, his hope, dismissed in a sentence. Clara trailed behind the Appraiser, nodding at his words, never once glancing at me. Each nod was like a hammer pounding into my chest. My home had become nothing but numbers, profit, a transaction waiting to happen. The next week, they returned with a lawyer. Derek entered first, confidence radiating from him. Clara followed, her gaze fixed on the floor. The lawyer spread papers across my dining table, the table where I had served Clara birthday cakes, where Robert and I had once laughed over Sunday dinners. His voice was smooth, polite, rehearsed. "Mrs. Carter, these are the transfer papers. Once you sign, the property will be in safe hands." The words blurred together as my eyes scanned the page. Transfer of ownership. Permanent. Irrevocable. When I pushed the papers back, refusing to sign, Derek's mask slipped. His voice turned sharp. "You're not in a condition to make decisions anymore, Evelyn. Clara is your heir. She's acting in your best interest." The lawyer added softly, but with menace. "If you don't cooperate, we may have to consider proceedings for mental incapacity." The room spun. My daughter, the child I had raised with every sacrifice, was preparing to strip me of everything I had left. My hands trembled. My heart ached, but I forced the words out. "I'm not signing anything." That night, sleep abandoned me. I sat in Robert's old chair, the silence pressing down on me like a heavy weight. For the first time, I wondered if they were right. Maybe I was too old. Maybe I was too fragile. Too useless. My eyes roamed the photographs on the wall. Clara as a newborn in my arms. Robert smiling proudly at her graduation. Family gathered at Christmas, laughter frozen in time. Each picture whispered the same truth. I had given everything. And now I was treated like nothing more than a burden. Tears blurred my vision. I whispered into the stillness, "Robert, I don't know how to fight this alone." The next afternoon, wandering like a ghost, I opened Robert's desk drawer. Bills, envelopes, papers I had seen before. But beneath them, something new. A slim folder bound with a tiny lock. My breath caught. I searched frantically until I found a small brass key tucked into one of his old books on investing. My hands shook as I slid it into the lock. The folder creaked open. Inside, neatly arranged documents, Robert's initials in the corners. And one page that made my heart stop, a will, signed 6 months before his death. As I read line by line, my world shifted. Robert had been deliberate, careful. What Clara and Derek thought they could take from me was nothing compared to what he had left. Robert had been saving quietly for decades, buying properties when no one else would, investing in overlooked stocks, even purchasing land outside Riverton, land that had now grown into a fortune. The numbers left me breathless, but the greatest shock was yet to come. The building where Clara and Derek lived, the apartment they thought they were renting, was ours. Every rent check had been deposited into an account under Robert's name. Now it was mine. 2 years of untouched rent, waiting. I was not the fragile widow clinging to one house. I was the owner of an empire hidden in plain sight. At the bottom of the folder, an envelope bore my name in Robert's steady handwriting. I opened it with trembling hands. His voice seemed to rise from the page. "My dearest Evelyn, if you are reading this, then I am gone. Forgive me for keeping this secret. I wanted it to be a gift. You worked harder than anyone, gave everything for Clara and for me. I wanted you to be safe, always. I never fully trusted Derek. Ambition without kindness is dangerous. That's why I arranged things this way. If Clara shows you love, she will share in this. If not, you hold the power to protect yourself. Use it wisely, not to harm but to teach." Tears stained the ink. But by dawn, I knew what I had to do. I brewed my coffee. I watered Robert's violets, and I placed the folder neatly on the desk. I was ready. The following morning, Clara and Derek stormed in with movers at their heels, boxes stacked high. Victory gleamed in their eyes. "Mom, the movers are here," Clara snapped. "Why aren't you packed?" I sipped my tea calmly. "I'm not leaving," Derek smirked. "You don't have a choice." I rose slowly, deliberately. "You're right. I don't, but neither do you." He waved at the movers. "Start with the living room." Not so fast. I held up one of Robert's deeds. "Did you know? The apartment you've been living in these past 3 years has never belonged to you." Clara blinked. "But we've been paying rent." "Yes, to me. Because I own the entire building." The silence was crushing. Clara stared. Derek's face drained of color. "This is fake," he shouted. "Check the records yourself," I said evenly. His voice cracked. "Even if it's true, we'll fight in court." "You'll lose everything." "No, Derek. You have 30 days to find another home. After that, I'll evict you," Clara gasped. "Mom, you can't." "Family doesn't scheme to take what isn't theirs," I answered. Derek turned, desperate. "Tell her, Clara. Tell her why she can't do this." Clara's lips trembled. "Mom, I'm pregnant." The words pierced me. For a moment, my resolve wavered. But Robert's letter echoed in my mind. "Use it not to harm, but to teach." I straightened. "Congratulations, Clara, but it doesn't erase what you've done." Derek's rage boiled over. "She's manipulating you, Clara. She always has." Clara clutched his arm. "Derek, please. She's my mother." He yanked away. "You're weak if you give in?" Something shifted in Clara's eyes. For years she had echoed his disdain. But now she saw him clearly. "Mom, I was wrong," she whispered. I let him convince me. I believed him because it was easier than facing the truth. I swallowed hard. "Words are a beginning, Clara. But only actions will prove you've changed." 2 weeks later, Derek stormed back, drunk and furious, demanding Clara. He jabbed a finger at me in the lobby. "You give me back my wife, or I'll have you arrested." I stood tall. "Clara is exactly where she wants to be, and you are standing on my property. Leave," he sneered. "This isn't your building." I called Victoria on speaker. "Victoria, who owns this building?" Her voice was clear. "You do, Evelyn. Sole legal owner." The manager stared. Derek fell silent. For once, he had no words. Weeks of preparation followed. Derek filed suit, but Victoria built our defense, brick by brick. At trial, Derek's lawyer painted me as bitter, controlling. I sat silently. Then Victoria rose, calm, precise, laying out the evidence, texts, voicemails, neighbors' testimony. Each piece hammered Derek's lies until his smirk vanished. Then, the moment no one expected. The judge removed his glasses, peering at me. His voice softened. "Mrs. Carter, do you remember me? 30 years ago, family court. You stayed late to help an overwhelmed intern." Recognition struck. "Samuel, Judge Whitmore." "Of course I remember." Gasps filled the room. Derek's lawyer sputtered about conflict, but Judge Whitmore's voice was firm. "There is no conflict. There is only justice. And justice is clear. Mr. Maddox has been the manipulator all along." The gavel struck. Derek's claims denied, his rights stripped. Damages ordered. Clara wept beside me. I placed my hand over hers. This was not victory. It was the beginning of rebuilding. When Clara moved back, I set boundaries. If you stay, you will contribute. You will earn my trust, she nodded. Slowly, change came. She washed her dishes, kept her room neat. One afternoon, folding laundry, she whispered, I want you to see I can take care of things now. It wasn't much, but it was something. With Victoria's guidance, I used Robert's legacy to found the Second Porch Foundation. Every woman deserves another place to sit, a second chance when her first porch is taken away. Within a year, 15 women found refuge. Their stories mirrored mine. One wrote, You gave me back my name. I am not just a burden anymore. Robert's gift had become purpose. 5 years later, my garden bloomed with life. My granddaughter, Isla, ran barefoot through the grass, laughter echoing. Clara stood on the porch, flour on her hands from Sunday lunch. She had rebuilt her life step by step. That week, an invitation arrived, dedication of the third Second Porch home. Dozens more women would find safety within its walls. Judge Whitmore visited. His voice was warm. Evelyn, your work has inspired us. The Retired Judges Association wishes to honor you. As Isla climbed into my lap with a yellow flower, I realized pain had turned to legacy. Love had endured its hardest test. Strength was never about shouting louder. It was about standing calmly, truth in my hands, refusing to be erased. Robert's words echoed, Use power not to harm, but to teach. And so I did. Clara learned respect cannot be forced, and I learned dignity must be protected. If my story reminds you of your own, hear me now. You are not powerless. Even in darkness, there is a way to reclaim your voice, your place, your worth. Sometimes kindness circles back decades later. Sometimes victory is simply refusing to be pushed aside. And now, I ask you, if this story touched you, please like this video. If you know someone who needs hope, share it with them. I'd love to hear your story. Leave a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. And if you want to join me for more stories like this, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Together, we'll keep these lessons alive. Together, we'll remind the world that dignity never expires.